All right, welcome everybody to the iBug Buzz. This is for Monday, June 20th, 2022, and this is also Juneteenth holiday. So if you were fortunate enough to have the day off and celebrate Juneteenth, well, I hope it was a good one for you. Well, my name is Stephen, and this is episode number 539. I'm going to be your facilitator for the first hour of the call, and Sandhya Rao is going to take over in the second hour and be your facilitator. We are glad you've joined us, no matter where you are calling from, and we get people from really all around the world, and that's always one of the fascinating things about this call. But the main purpose of this buzz is that we get to talk about all things iOS. That includes the iPhone, the iPad, iPod Touch, Apple TV, the Apple Watch, and other apps and accessories that are related to those devices. And I just want to remind you of a few guidelines before we get started. We try not to have too many, but there are just a few that you need to keep in mind. This call is being recorded, so with that, we ask that you stay muted unless you are asking a question or making a comment. And this is just to ensure the quality of the call. And another important note is we do not use the raise hand feature on Zoom the way many other calls do. When you want to ask a question or make a comment, simply unmute yourself, say your name, and then wait to be acknowledged by one of the facilitators. And that would be either me or Sandhya. Only the facilitators can recognize someone speaking. So please wait to be recognized before one of us, before jumping in. We ask that you not speak out or make exclamations while others are talking. When you want to announce yourself, just be sure there's a break in the conversation and then ask your comment or ask your question and make a comment. Once you've asked or answered a question, please give others a chance to participate so that everybody can get an opportunity. Make sure to eliminate any background noise. If we have to tell you twice that you have too much interference, then we may have to remove you from the call, and we really don't want to do that. We want to make sure that everybody can participate, but we also want to make sure everybody can hear and be able to concentrate on what's going on. Let me go over the ways that you can mute and unmute yourself on the various devices that you may be using. In the Zoom app on an iPad, you will find the mute button at the bottom left corner of the screen, and it is a toggle button. If you double tap it, it will mute or unmute. If you're on an iPad or other smartphone, it is at the top center of the screen, a little bit further up. On a Windows PC, you can toggle mute and unmute with the Alt-A command. If you are using a Mac, it is Command-Shift-A. Also on the Mac and PC, you can use the spacebar as a push-to-talk function. You simply hold down the space and then let it up once again when you finish speaking, and it'll put you back on mute. Now, if you're calling in on a regular phone line, you can just toggle by using *6. All right, with all that out of the way, I'm going to briefly turn things over to Sandhya because she has some very important events and other announcements to tell us about of what is coming up in iBUG for the next day or few days. Sandhya?
All right. Thank you, Stephen. Yes, another busy week. So, right now we're at the iBug Buzz for the next 2 hours. And tomorrow we will, so all times that I mentioned are central. So, tomorrow we have the Mac Buzz, and that will actually be the one on Clubhouse. And that is from 5 to 6. So if you have questions or issues with your Mac, then definitely come to that forum. It's a Q&A. All right, then Wednesday we are off, thankfully, I think, yes. And then we have Thursday, we have It's no, it's iBugs Live. Yes, right? Yes,
It's
it's iBugs
iBug's
Live.
Life. Yeah,
Right, I'm
exactly.
getting all confused here. So that one, we're going to be talking about weather preparedness. So that's going to be a really good discussion, think of different apps and so forth. And that will be at 6 o'clock on Zoom. Then Friday night is iBug night at the virtual movies, as we know. And the big reveal will be at the top of the hour. Come and guess those terrible clues. I mean, did I say terrible? I mean, wonderful clues. And hopefully win some of those amazing prizes. Yes, and then that's going to be at internet in a little bit. The movie is at 8. The social time is 7:30, and discussion is after the movie. Then on Saturday, we have iBUG Apple Workshop. We're so excited. We've got some new presenters, some people that we haven't seen before, some people we have, so some people we haven't seen in a while. So we're really excited. So that'll be from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Zoom. All right, so that is what we have planned. Social media, we have a website, ibugtoday.org. That is the best place to get all the information about everything I am talking about. I just told you a week's worth. We have a month calendar up there. Go under upcoming events. Then you can register, and it's free, as is all of our services. If you register, you'll get notifications of our various events. What else? What else? We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/group/iBugToday, a great place to post questions and help others with their questions. Twitter @iBugToday, lots of good information coming out of there about accessibility and various Apple-related issues and where those two issues converge. And then we have a mentoring program. If you need help with your iPhone, you're a beginner user, then definitely fill out the application under the training tab under the Jumpstart Mentoring Program, the Mentee application, and then we will match you up with one of our amazing volunteers. They are advanced users of the iPhone, and basically their phone is attached to their ear, so it can't get any better than that. So definitely we want to help you, and it's a 12-week program, so we will hopefully get you on the way if you need help. All right. I think I've got it all. So now I'm going to hand it back to Stephen.
All right. Did you say, is it permanently attached to your ear or just temporarily?
I think it's permanent.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Just good to know that before you go in.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Sandhya. A lot of great things coming up in iBUG for sure, and a lot of great information. Well, before we get to your questions, we would like to know who is joining us tonight. What we usually do is just give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. So we'll go around the horn. Just tell us who you are, where you're calling from. Remember, you will need to unmute yourself in order to do that. And if you joined us, if you're new to this call, we'd love to know how you found out about iBUG and what iOS devices that you may be using. And if you came in during the announcements and didn't hear who I am, I'll start it off. I am Stephen Kerr from Austin.
Pete Lane from Jacksonville.
All right, Calandra, and who else?
Pete Lane from Jacksonville.
Hey, Pete. Well, welcome to Calandra and Pete.
I'm from Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay, Calandra.
Jody from New Hampshire.
Hi, Jody. Welcome. Who's next?
I think we had Priscilla there from
Priscilla. Yes,
Arlington.
Priscilla. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandhya.
You're welcome.
All right. Who'd like to introduce themselves next?
Dan from Southern California.
Hey, Dan. Welcome. And who else?
Andrew from Vermont.
Andrew. Welcome to you, sir.
Claudia in Houston.
Claudia. Welcome. Who else?
Helene from Woodstock.
Helene. Welcome to you. All right. Who would like to go next?
This is Joe from Norman.
Hey,
Oklahoma.
Joe. Welcome.
This is Herbie in Houston.
Herbie, welcome.
I'm Katie from
Grand
Austin.
Junction, Colorado.
All right, Katie from Austin, and who from Colorado?
Thomas from Grand Junction, Colorado.
Hey, Thomas, welcome to both you and Katie.
It's Greg from Texas.
Hey, Greg, welcome. Anybody else like to introduce themselves? Going once.
Oh, this is Sandhya from Houston.
Oh, well, we can't forget you, Sandhya.
Sorry.
It's all right. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, anyone who didn't get a chance to introduce themselves or comes in later, we will get another shot at that in the midway point of the call. Do we have any people that are new to this call? I know of one person who is. Katie, would you like to tell us how you found out about iBUG and what iDevices you use?
Hi, I found out through a guy named Steve. And I've got a Mac. I've got several Macs, as a matter of fact, and they've all been passed down to other people. And then I've got an iPad. I used to have an iPhone, but I switched back to the Galaxy Fold.
All right. Well, I don't know if you heard our announcements, but we do have calls for both the Mac as well as for Android. So we'll have to check that out. And yeah, I think I know that Steve guy you're talking about. So
Maybe.
maybe. Welcome. We're glad you joined us tonight.
Thank you.
Anybody else that's new to this call that would like to say how they found out about iBUG and what iDevices they are using?
This is Calandra.
Calandra, how did you find out about iBUG?
I found out, see, from what I understand is I've been hearing about it through ACB meetings that I went to, and then some people, friends of mine, have been talking about iBUG. So I finally went and asked the state library about the cause and everything. I also got the number through the convention. I called John's office, but nobody was there. So I finally got in contact with the state library.
All right.
Who left two numbers on there. And since then, I started going to movie nights on Friday nights and some of y'all's workshops there.
Awesome.
And I'm wondering what the call is today.
All right. Well, we'll get to find out that in a little bit. So welcome
Thank
to
you.
you, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. All right. Any other new callers before we move on? If not, then let's open it up for questions. Remember, there are no dumb questions, so don't be shy. Who has our first question of the night? And remember, this can be on the iPhone, questions about the iPad, the iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch. That's what I was trying to say. Apple TV, any of those things. Who'd like to go first?
This is Calandra.
All right, Calandra.
I have a question about the blind cell phone. Now, I never got a chance to participate in it. And because
let me stop you, Calandra. We're only asking questions about iPhone or iOS devices on this call. Okay?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Do you have a question about the iPhone or an iOS device?
I was going to ask about that. Can you do the same thing with iPhones that you could do with a flip phone? For instance, if you have like a TV, I mean, you could get like radio or something on an iPhone or something, or play music.
Okay, so you're wanting to know, are they basically the same things with a flip phone that you can do with an iPhone? Herbie, go ahead.
Okay, so I actually went from a flip phone to an iPhone back in 2010. One of the things that impressed me was, even though the iPhone was a touchscreen back then, how much more real estate I had to work with just even dialing phone numbers. But so if you're wanting so the iPhone does not, though, have an FM radio in it. Like, there's plenty of other ways to listen to music through various music services, like, from free Spotify and Pandora to, other ways. But if you're wanting a phone with an actual FM radio, you would actually have to, there's certain Android phones that do that. But the iPhone can do a lot more things than the flip phone can in terms of like accessibly able to call, text, run a lot of apps, and so on and so forth. So, but I don't know what the blind shell phones look like, but I know like the old flip phones I'm used to had these tiny, like the one I had, like these tiny keys that were really inset and that was like hard to press, and the iPhone was just so much more, I find it a little bit more user-friendly than those tinier keypads, but that's my experience.
All right, very good. Thank you, Herbie. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? I think that's a pretty good summation right there. Calandra, does that help you out? All right.
Yes, it does. But I wanted to know if this too, if you cannot handle like a screen, like a flat screen, can you put bump dots on the buttons?
That's a good question. Anybody want to take that? If you can put bump dots on a touchscreen like the iPhone.
This is Pete.
Pete, go ahead, sir.
Landra, I'm wondering why you think you can't handle a flat screen.
I tried that once before and it didn't work out too well.
Yeah, sometimes it does take a little bit of practice, but Pete, do you have any insight on whether that is possible? I mean, I think I've heard of people doing that, but can you weigh in on that or anyone else?
I don't think you
doing it.
can put, you don't want to put stickers on the screen, but I think if you have the right instructor, maybe to sit down with you, you could probably, and you know, you're not in any hurry, but just take your time and learn how to flick left and right, and you'll find buttons, and then you just have to tap anywhere on the screen.
This is Herbie.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
I'm done. Go ahead, Herbie.
Okay, Herbie, go ahead.
So two things. Yes, actually, it's not bump dots. There is a thing called speed dots. I forget who sells them now, but they are designed for people who want the extra support with the touch screen. And I believe they work like a screen protector. And I thought we had some speed dot users on here, but I could be wrong. The other thing I do want to mention, though, is you do also have the option of using a Bluetooth keyboard in conjunction with your phone. So if you're good with a computer keyboard and you're willing to learn some commands that way, then that is also another option as well for using your phone for a lot of the functionality.
All right. Well, Calandra, what I would suggest too, if you want to look into our iBUG mentoring program, just go on our website, which is ibugtoday.org, and check that out. But thank you for your question. We appreciate it. Let's move on to the next one. Who has a new question, a new topic?
This is Jody with a quick comment.
Okay, Jody, go ahead.
Well, as far as the blind shell goes, I've heard it only has 3G, and there's a lot of providers that don't support it. I know AT&T doesn't anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to a new topic. So
well, I do have a new question.
You have a new question? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. It's about there's two Good Maps apps. There's Good Map Explorer and Good Map Outdoors, and I haven't really checked into both. I have both of them, and I haven't really looked into the details of them yet. But I'm wondering, what is the difference, and is one just an update of the other, or are they two separate apps?
Oh, okay. So Good Maps, and then what was the other one?
Good Maps Explorer, and
Maps Explorer,
which comes up as Explorer, and then the other one is Good Maps Outdoors.
Okay. Does anyone have familiarity with either one of those apps that can help Jody out?
Well, I'll just have to go play with them.
So you're trying to decide, do they do both the same thing?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering. You know, I have both of them, and I assumed that the one was an update of the other, but I've heard one of them you can use indoors. So I don't know if it works like Clue. I have to play with them, and I can get back to everybody and let them know.
Okay. Yeah. Doesn't sound like anyone has familiarity with them. Sandhya, do you?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know that that's correct, that one is for indoor and one is outdoor, and it used to be something else, and then it's like got a new name, but I don't remember the history. But so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
You bet. Thank you, Jody. We appreciate it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Who has a new topic, a new question they'd like to present for discussion?
Hi, this is Katie.
Go ahead, Katie.
I have somehow turned off dictation on the iPad, and it says dictation is on, but it is not working.
Oh, that's a
I've
problem.
reset it. I've done everything except reformat it to try to fix it.
Okay, so can anyone help Katie turn on dictation back on in her iPad? Which iPad do you have, Katie?
The iPad Pro, the big one, the 13.
The 13.
inch.
Okay, perfect. All right. Anybody have any help for Katie on that?
This is Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, go ahead.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, so I have an iPad 9th gen, and I think for some reason the dictate button switched sides. So I don't know if you looked, as it used to be on the bottom right for me, and now it's near the left side for some reason.
Maybe that's what I've done. I'll have to check and see. That might be the problem.
Yeah, if it says it's on, it's got to be somewhere on the keyboard, I bet.
Maybe
So-
so. I can't seem to actually get it to work. So
So Katie,
Yeah.
let me just clarify. Are you not able to find the button now, or is it just turned
no,
off and you can't get it
I
to come
can
back
see the button. I can see it. It's just not working
on?
Hmm.
at all.
Interesting.
Oh,
This
have
is
you
Pete.
tested that your microphone is working?
Well,
Like by
y'all can
mute?
hear me. I'm on it right now.
Oh,
I'm using
okay.
the iPad right now.
Yep.
This is Pete.
Mm.
So,
Okay, Pete, go ahead.
Have you tried the 2-finger magic tap, the double tap?
no, I have not tried that.
Because that will usually generate dictation, even if you don't use the dictate button. It's the 2-finger double tap.
Okay, I will try that.
Once
Thank you.
once your insertion point is in the text field, try that, and you should
Okay.
get the.
You know what I
Alright.
could have done? I could have actually turned it off that way, trying to do the 3-finger thing and get the thing that zooms it out to go away.
Okay.
That might be what I've done.
Yeah. All right. We'll give that a shot and see if that
I
helps.
will.
Any
Thank you.
other suggestions before we move on? If
This is
not,
Herbie.
Herbie?
It's a shot in the dark. I'm trying, you could always, I have my dictation off, so I don't know if it actually shows up or not, but in the privacy under mic, I wonder if it would show up there that it's been granted or not, because it could be a situation of where dictation, your mic is obviously working, you sound clear as a bell, but, if it's, there's a lot of privacy stuff that Apple does with this and that, and so it could be that, maybe if you did anything with the privacy settings, that's something else I'd look into as a possibility.
That's a really good idea. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thanks, Katie. That's a great question. We appreciate that. All right. Moving right along. Who would like to go next with a new question or new topic? Something you're having an issue with your iPhone, iPad, an app that you may be using with one of those devices, or Apple Watch, anything like that? What's
This is
bugging
Sri.
you? Sri, go ahead.
So I've noticed that, our recent fix with the contacts and favorites and recent, where we can just go ahead and when we're tapping on the individual, it jumps around. So our solution has been, you flick up or down till you get to the right person you want, get more info, and then double tap to bring up the contacts and make the call that way. Let me rephrase this again.
Okay, go ahead.
So our current solution is that when we're in contacts and we're trying to call someone in our recent or favorites, we have to, go to the person, flick up or flick down to get to more info, double tap and swipe right to the phone number to call. Because sometimes when we go to the contacts and go to recent or favorites, you tap on the person and call someone else.
Right.
So I'm noticing now that when I flick up and down to get more info, it's taking me to somebody else now. Kind of like the same behavior that it was doing when it tries to find someone.
Interesting. So now it's doing it even when you go to more info instead of just clicking on the actual
person. Is going to some other person.
Wow. Anybody having experience in that same issue? Wasn't this the recent iOS update, Shri, that this started happening with this particular problem?
No, this has been a known issue since prior to like iOS 15.
Okay,
this has been an ongoing issue.
Yeah, well, I knew that clicking on the actual name of the person did that, but as far as going to more info, that's still been a kind of an older issue.
That was our solution before.
Jody, go ahead.
Yeah, I've had the same thing happen. I thought it was an operator error, but now that you mention it, it doesn't happen every time, but it will happen on occasion.
Okay. One of those annoying bugs that.
Yeah, glad
Um,
it's not operator error.
yeah, you have company now. So.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
hope you're feeling better, Sri. It sounds
Yeah.
like you have a cold.
Somewhat better. All right. Anyone else have any insight or trouble with this before we move into the next issue or question? Well, thanks, Sri. Hopefully we can, hopefully they can solve this maybe in the next actual update.
This is Greg.
Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, kind of a similar issue. When I use Siri to call somebody, like I'll say, call and give somebody's first and last name and just say mobile, like call Greg Rhodes mobile. Then Siri will respond, did you mean call Greg Rhodes mobile?
Yes.
It's like, I assume other people are probably having similar issues.
Yes, I am. It happened just today. It happens quite frequently. Yeah, now that's been a bug for quite some time, but anyone else having a issue with that too?
This is Suva.
Suva, go ahead.
Yep. So similar to what Sri is saying, just going through the phone application, and say if you're on a recent contacts list and you're trying to call somebody from the list of contacts, and it's just a person that you missed the call and try to call back. When you try to double click on the person's name, it just would jump to like 3% down and it would call a wrong number and like, oh, what is going on? I double clicked on the missed call, but then it just jumped to a new number and then just calling the wrong number. So yeah, but that's about it.
All right. Anybody else?
This is Andrew.
Andrew.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was just gonna say a similar bug that Siri's had for a while is, if you're searching for a local business and you say, Siri, find, barbecue joint, and she'll say, I found barbecue joint. Would you like to call it or go to the website? And you say, call, and she'll go, who do you want to call? And you want to smash your head on the table because it just happens over and over.
Yeah.
This is Sri.
Sri, one more comment and then we'll move along. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that issue's been fixed now. I can say call Joe's Carpenter and it'll say, you want Joe Carpenter to call? And I say, yes, it works now.
Okay.
I don't know if they fixed that in 15. The latest version, but it does work now. I did have a question for Greg.
Okay, go ahead.
Greg, does this happen every time you ask to call yourself, or is it just randomly this occurs?
This is Greg.
Go ahead.
It's happening on most of the time now when I try to call people using Siri.
Okay.
Well, let's move along, but all I can say is iOS 16 is coming. Can we hope for better? I guess. But thank you for that. That's very good. All right, next question. A new topic, a new problem. Who'd like to be next?
This is Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
I had a comment on your comment, Steve, where you said iOS 16 is coming. Can we hope for better? My answer is not unless we have elevated these specific issues to Apple as an issue. My question to all of you, and I'm having some same problems, so I need to ask myself. So do as I say, not as I do. Have we let Apple know that these are problems? Have we sent them an email or gone to their website and identified them as bugs? Because if not, then they don't know about them and we may not see them fixed in iOS 16.
That's a very good point, Pete. And I think it's something that we should all think about is, if we're really having issues and it's affecting us, especially on a regular basis, then, sometimes it has to start with us. And I do know, Apple does have a great support team from all what little I've had to deal with them. They've been great. And I've heard many other good comments about them. So I think that's a great point. Anyone else want to weigh in on that before we move along?
Well, I know it would help me, and I can do this. I'll volunteer to do this, is maybe find an email address or a link on apple.com where we can do this, where they, specifically identified for pointing out bugs or for letting Apple know about bugs. If there's a email address, or if you can just call Apple Accessibility and say, hey, I want to point out a bug, and see if they would accept that. So I'll put that on the website, and that might help us make it easier at least.
Okay. Very good. That'd be great. Suva?
Yep, I have already went ahead and called accessibility, and they took down some notes and sent it to the developer. But I think the more people who does that email accessibility, whichever way is the better, to kind of let them know.
All right.
This is Sri.
Go ahead, Sri.
So just so everyone knows, it's apple.com/feedback. It'll be a form to fill out the information. And one thing I do want to echo about all of this with what Pete said, the more we call, it moves to a higher tier. The more that it gets to the higher tier, the more it gets them involved. So it's really important we contact them over and over, because the more you do, it goes to a higher tier.
Yeah.
So,
right. So that was apple.com/feedback. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Sri.
Very good. Thanks, Sri. We appreciate that. All right. Well, let's move to a different question, a different topic. Who'd like to be next that hasn't had a chance to ask a question or make a comment?
This is Joe.
Hey, Joe. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I don't have a new problem. I got that same old problem. And I think it's just not knowing what I'm doing. All right. It's on the rotor. And what I have done, that last suggestion had worked fine, to double tap on VoiceOver and be able to open up and go down to rotor. Then I was trying to select line. I double tap, and I didn't know if just double tapping was enough, but I think that I must have double tapped wrong or something and turned off voice or something like that. So I have no voice coming on my cell phone at all anymore.
Oh.
And I don't know how to turn it on without being able to see anything.
This is Sri.
Go ahead, Sri.
Yeah, when your voiceover volume is all the way down to 0, you're going to have to call Apple Accessibility. You're going to need somebody with sight to look at the screen, because in the rotor, the voiceover volume is the only place you can go in and change it back from 0 to some other value. And when it's at 0, you're not going to know where it's at.
Wow.
The second thing I would also recommend for you, Joe, what Sandhya mentioned earlier today, is to take the Menti program. I think you're going to find very useful, especially because right now, from what you just said, with how you're doing the rotor, the reason it's not working is you're performing it incorrectly, and it would probably be more beneficial for you to just take that class and get a good feel of how it works. That would be my suggestion to you.
Very good.
Okay.
This is Joe.
Go
Thank
ahead,
you
Joe.
very much.
You bet. Thanks for your question, Joe. Sorry that happened to you. Yeah, that's
This
pretty
is
annoying.
Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
I wanted to ask Joe a follow-up. Did you say you went in to the menus, Joe, and tapped on VoiceOver, or did something? I heard you say you went into and
Yes.
tapped, and you thought you turned something off.
This is Joe.
Go ahead, Joe.
I went into settings. I went into accessibility. Then I went down to VoiceOver. I double tapped that and got into rotor. I opened up rotor. I was going down through the tools. I thought I hit line to add line to the rotor.
Right.
And then I had no more voice. And so I must have hit something wrong down there at that point.
Because this is Pete. I'm thinking that there's really no item in that list. That's where I thought you were, in your VoiceOver items list. I don't think there's an item in that list, and Sri or somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that is a voice. So I don't think if you're in that rotors list, that you turn off your voice unless you did it earlier on that screen and you went into VoiceOver, and then there was a button that said VoiceOver on or off. if you think you might have tapped that, then I would try your Siri, your Siri button, and try to turn voiceover. Just say Siri, turn voiceover on.
Oh,
If your voiceover is completely off, as opposed to what Sri was thinking, that maybe you just turned your volume all the way down. But if it's completely turned off, then do you know how to invoke Siri, Joe?
no, I usually just say, "Hey Siri." I
Well,
don't have
try
it.
that and just say, "Hey Siri," and then when she answers, if she answers, just say, "Turn voiceover on."
Okay. What I did, I'm sorry, this is Joe.
Go ahead, Joe.
I don't have any sound on anything. I even
Ah.
turned my cell phone totally off and turned it back on. I did this twice, and I still don't get any sound. So
And you're hitting your up volume buttons.
I think I have. I would imagine, but I will try that certainly. I also tried hitting the home button 3 times. I thought maybe I turned off voiceover that way, so I tried that on that part.
This is Greg.
Okay, Joe, are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. Joe, have you tried the 3-finger double tap?
No, I don't think I'm sorry. This is Joe.
Go ahead.
I accidentally tried 3-finger triple tap and turned the curtain off. I turned it back on, but I'm not sure I tried 3-finger double tap. I think I did, but I will try that again too.
Okay.
This
is Andrew.
All right, let's Herbie and then Andrew, and then we need to move to another question. Herbie,
Do
go
you
ahead.
have any like plug-in headphones?
This is
Go
Joe.
ahead. Go ahead,
Yes.
Joe.
One thing you can try, sometimes the voiceover volume will transition over to a different setting when you plug in headphones. And so if it does, and you get your voiceover back, then you could get pointed to the rotor volume, then try unplugging the headphones and then just doing the 1-finger swipe up and see if that raises the voiceover volume. Definitely the other suggestions, like, with the muting speech, seeing if that is the issue. Of course. When you say you're getting those sound though, are you you're not even getting like the clicking sounds or anything like that voiceover is making?
No, sir.
Okay, then I think it's a volume issue, probably more likely than a speech muted issue.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Andrew, your last comment
Yeah,
on
I
this.
was just doing a couple of quick troubleshooting ideas. One is you could call up Siri and ask them to play music, and if the music plays and you hear it, it's not a volume. So, and then sometimes I don't think this should make your voiceover not talk, but sometimes people mute the iPhone by mistake, which is a little toggle in like the top left corner. And if you mute it, then it should still make voiceover sounds, but it wouldn't make any other like music or entertainment or any kind of sounds like that. So it's a good thing to check.
Okay, very good. Well, Joe, try some of those ideas and hopefully one of them will help out. And if all else fails, then yeah, get either Apple Accessibility or someone that can see the screen to help you out. But that's a good question. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Thank you, everyone.
You bet. Thank you, sir. And let's move forward. Who would like to ask the next question or pose a new topic?
Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
I have a question about focus and do not disturb. I was on doing something the other day and I wanted to put on my do not disturb so I would not be disturbed. So this is the first time I've tried using focus under iOS 15. And so I used the do not disturb portion of the focus. And I made sure there were no people were none, apps were none, no favorites, nobody was in there. Nothing was set up to go through the do not disturb setting. And so I'm on the treadmill, doing whatever. And then I get a text from my teenage son. And I thought, how did he get through? Why am I hearing from him? So I looked at it. Like I said, this is the first time I tried it. And so I sent a text to myself just to see, and it says, Chris has notifications off. But then if you send yourself or you send a text to somebody, apparently, you guys probably all know this, once you send a text, if you swipe to the right and it says so-and-so has notifications off, if you swipe to the right once more, it says notify anyway. And if you double tap on that, it sends the text. So my question is, how do I get rid of that?
All right. So yeah, this is a focus question. Anyone can help Chris out with that?
This is Herbie.
Go ahead, Herbie.
I don't think there's a way to get rid of it unilaterally, but what you can do on conversation threads, if you double tap the name of the conversation at the top, one of the things you can do is turn off status sharing so they can't, and if you turn off the status sharing, that will prevent them from, there's one I think that's actually specifically about do not disturb. And then if you tell it to not let them see your do not disturb status, then they cannot see that you're even on do not disturb and therefore avoid that. That should prevent them from doing that notification thing.
Okay.
So
Chris?
this is Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
So yeah, I was purposely status sharing so they could see I wanted to not be disturbed, but I didn't realize it was going to give the person an option to override that. So you think if that status sharing is not there, then that other option to override it won't be there either?
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay, I'll try that.
All right, anyone else?
This is Andrew. I mean,
Andrew.
when you say you go to settings, I usually turn do not disturb on and off with control panel. And then in the settings, you would make the settings that like parameters about do not disturb. Is there like a do not disturb switch in settings, or? Because I guess my thought is maybe you're altering the settings without actually toggling it on.
Go ahead, Chris.
This is Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie, go ahead.
No, so basically with iOS 15, do not disturb now is part of the focus things, and so there is no straight do not. It is the focus where, and Apple in their infinite wisdom decided that there should be an emergency option where that do not disturb can be overridden in, if you think the message is important enough. And so, unfortunately, yeah, that's the only way I know of, at least, to prevent somebody from doing that, is to not let them see your status. And that's one of the things with iOS 15 is they can see that your status is set to do not disturb, and that's what Chris is referring to with that issue where, she's getting that person just overrode the message thing. You just overrid it. So that's how that do not disturb works now in iOS 15.
This is Sandhya.
Go ahead, Sandhya.
Okay. Another thought, if you kind of know who the perpetrators are going to be that are going to disturb you, you could maybe just, turn off notifications for that thread. I mean, it's a lot of work to do a do not disturb, but that's another option, I guess. Just say you don't want to get notified.
Okay. Chris, go ahead.
Just last word. Yeah, I thought about that. Thank you. It's just I don't know who the who my nemesis is going to be for that time or whatever. So it could be any number of them. So yeah, unfortunately.
All right. Well, hopefully those help you out. Thanks for your question, Chris. That's a great one.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Okay, moving right along. Let's see. We have about 15 minutes until the midway point, so time for several more questions. We're moving pretty rapidly. So who would like to go next? Who has a new question or a new topic to bring to the table or the call?
This is Jody.
Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, this is a question, my question, but it kind of gets back to what Joe was having a problem with. Looking at the gestures under commands, a two-finger single tap is toggle speech, and a three-finger double tap is toggle mute. What is the difference? And it could be that that's what Joe accidentally did to turn off his voiceover.
Ooh, that's a very good question. Anybody have some insight on that?
Yeah, this is Andrew.
Go ahead, Andrew.
So if you do a two-finger single tap, it just makes VoiceOver stop talking. So like if you start reading something with a two-finger swipe down, it starts reading, or anytime VoiceOver is talking, if you do a two-finger single tap on the phone, it will stop talking. And when you turn speech off, it's like muting the voice. So if you turn speech off and you start swiping your finger around the screen, it won't say anything at all. Whereas if you just do the two-finger single tap, it'll still have VoiceOver talking to you. So you can still move your finger around the screen or do other gestures.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought, but I wondered if Joe might have done that.
Yeah, that's a good, it's a
Thank
good
you,
point.
Andrew.
You bet. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jody.
you're welcome.
All right, next question. Who has a new topic to bring up? Something new that's bugging you. And that's not the reason we call it iBUG necessarily, but that's just how it goes.
This is Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
If nobody else has a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is a podcast question, specifically on Overcast, but it.
Okay, we got a little background noise, so whoever's doing that, we need to mute, please, if you could. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
It's about Overcast. So, previously on just the podcast, Apple Podcast app, you had to subscribe to different podcasts if you wanted them to automatically download. And then they switched it recently to you have to what's called follow a podcast instead if you want those episodes to automatically populate. So on Overcast, I saw that they recently did the same thing. They switched it from subscribe to follow. So my question is, if I don't want to actually follow certain podcasts because I don't want them to populate automatically, even though I had it set to streaming, not to download, but to stream. But if I want to have just say a list of maybe 10 podcasts that I know I want to go and look at every so often and check the different episodes, how do I get it so I can, like an Apple Podcast, I could get it to have just a list of podcasts without having to actually subscribe to any of them. But I could actually have a list that was currently available that I could go through, and then I could manually go through and look at the newer episodes. Is there an easy way without having to automatically, the way I do it now is I just stream or download one, and that puts it into the list of, I forget what it's called, the current list, whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. And that way it'll keep it as a listed podcast. And then I can go through and manually look at the newer episodes as they come through. But is there a better way to do that? To have
rather than just follow or subscribe.
Right.
Okay. Anyone have any insight on that? So I guess my question is that because I haven't done a podcast app in a while because I use my smart speaker so much, but so there's now a difference between follow and subscribe, or are they one and the same? Go ahead, Chris.
I think they're one and the same. They just redid it, and Apple started going with this follow option, like on Twitter if you follow people or other social media apps, as opposed to the subscribe, which now they have some paid podcasts on Apple, so you have to actually subscribe to them. So I noticed recently, the last time I went to Overcast, which is 2-3 weeks ago, they seem to have switched to the same thing, to the follow format as opposed to subscribe. Mm-hmm. But instead of, I don't want to have these things automatically downloaded, but I'd like to have a list of all the podcasts I'd like to go look at maybe every now and then, which is an easy way to have them all. And I did it under Apple Podcasts, and it's been so long I can't remember how I got that to work.
This is Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
Chris, I don't use Overcasts, and I'm sure it's different there, but on Downcast, I can list a podcast. I can list any podcast that I wish, but I can turn off the automatic download, or I think it's even an automatic update feed. So I can wait a month and then go in there and check previous episodes, or I can change the setting. So my point is there is a different setting for automatic downloads. I'm wondering if Overcast might have the same thing.
Go ahead, Chris.
There is, and you can automatically download or stream, and I have it set to automatically stream for one or two that I want. But the only way to get a current listing of the podcast, not the episodes, but the podcast, the whole podcast name, is to automatically or manually download at least one episode to get that to populate a list of podcasts you might want to go look at.
Interesting. Any other insights? I'm wondering, like when you do searches, if there is a part where it says recent searches and it lists podcasts that you've searched for. That's not necessarily a fully accurate thing, but it might actually help. Sri, go ahead.
Are you able to add it as a favorite?
Go ahead, Chris.
Chris, I don't recall if there's a favorite option in Overcast.
I know, I'm familiar with the Apple podcast, and most of the settings occur in the settings podcast. Have you tried to look into the settings of the podcast you're using?
Just Chris.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it might be something we need to look further into, Chris, or maybe, play around with a little bit more and see if we can come up with something. And it sounds like, they want you to follow or subscribe so they can regularly update you. So anything else outside of that may be a bit of an issue, but maybe that's something we can do a little more research on and look into further. But it's a good question. All right,
Okay,
next
thanks.
up, you bet. Next topic, next question. We've got about 8 minutes until the midway point, and then we'll have our movie announcement, and then I will have an iBUG Bite segment after that. But right now, let's keep moving right along with your questions. Who'd like to be next? I have a new topic or a new suggestion, a new app maybe that you've been introduced to, you'd like to share, we do that as well.
This is Chanel.
Go ahead, Chanel.
I've been introduced to some new tricks in Clubhouse for what that's
Ooh,
worth.
okay. Feel free.
Okay. So basically, there's a room, I forget the exact title, but they go over voiceover tips for Clubhouse. And the profile button that's supposed to be at the bottom right-hand corner is not visible for us voiceover users. And so sometimes it can be tricky, like to get into the clubs that you have or whatever. So if you're already in a room, you can tap on your name to get to the profile, or you can turn voiceover off and tap the very bottom right-hand corner. I've done that before and that works to get into it. And then that'll work. Also, I had no idea when you're actually in a room, if you do the 3-finger swipe right, you're on page 1, and that's the room chat. And if you do 3-finger swipe left, then that's the normal controls for the room. And if you sometimes, like if you go into a room, this always frustrates me, and I can't seem to find any mute button or unmute button or whatever, the app is being really sluggish to load lately for some people. So sometimes the controls don't even respond to a sighted person pressing them because the app is just being really sluggish. So those were kind of my takeaways. Hopefully they help somebody else. But
Okay, that's
yeah.
very good, Chanel. No, so are those new updates that they've used, or just things that you've discovered recently?
Well, things that have been kind of coming out from their new updates over the last month or two. And I went into that room today and asked just some questions about some frustrations I'd had, and getting to the profile, being able to find actually the room controls in a room, things like that. Finding there is a way to save a replay once you're actually playing it. I didn't know that I could do that, so just learning little things like that, and that make it harder since the app seems to update and add more controls.
All right, very good. Well, yeah, we still do some things on Clubhouse, so that's really great to share. So thanks for that information. Yep. We appreciate that.
No problem.
All right. Who would like to ask the next question as we move forward? I actually have a question. Unless someone else feel free to jump in, but if not, I actually have an issue that I'm having with photos. So I'll go ahead and ask that. In the past, when I have deleted photos, what I typically do is, I go into the camera and then I do, the photo viewer or whatever they call it. And I select all photos, and then I just hit the select button, and then I just delete, whichever photos I want. Well, it does that. And then it says, you want to delete 9 photos or 5 photos or however many, and it's supposed to delete them on that device and all my devices. Well, the next time I go in to do that, I notice lately that all those photos that I thought I've deleted are still there. It's like they have not been deleted, even though I've gone through the process. In fact, I've done it several times. And it seems that every time I come back to delete photos that I've recently wanted to delete, they're all still there. So I'm just wondering, has something changed in a recent update? Am I doing something that is no longer valid? I have to do it a different way. Does anyone have any help as far as what is going on with that? Where it's telling me that I'm deleting them across all my devices, but when I go back in, it's still on my phone.
This is Sandhya.
Go ahead, Sandhya.
I mean, I don't know if it's related. I've asked this before about, I used to be able to say, show me all the pictures I took today or whatever. And, I know it's not quite related to what you're doing, but I don't know. It doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work. So I don't know. Maybe there's.
Yeah, it makes me think that they've changed something about it. Now, I have not tried to delete them photo by photo. Instead of, like I said, I go to all photos, and then there's that select button, there at the bottom.
Okay.
And once I hit it, I just go, to each photo and hit, double tap on it, and it'll select it.
Yeah, it'll say selected.
Yeah,
right?
selected. And then I just keep going across and then I go to the delete, and it'll say, delete 5 photos and they will not be across all your devices, or however it says it. And it used to be able to do it just like that. And the next time I go in, though, those photos are still there. So it is puzzling, to say the least. So I'm just curious if anyone has ever had the same issue lately.
And this is Sandhya.
Go ahead.
I mean, you're not on any other. I mean, you can't check. I mean, well, if they're still on the phone, then chances are they're still on your iPad or what other device you have. So.
Probably. I mean, I don't use my iPad that much. The phone is what I use most, and that's what I take them on. And so, but yeah, it's supposed to delete them across all my devices. So I don't go anywhere except the phone to check them. But the fact that they're still on my phone is somewhat disturbing, because I was trying to get them off my phone, so I don't.
So, and this is Sandhya. Did you say you could delete? You haven't tried just deleting one at a time?
I haven't tried that yet. I've thought about it, but I thought I would just bring it up as far as, deleting batches of them like I used to. But I'm curious if anyone has tried doing it photo by photo, and it seems to be working.
Okay.
But it sounds like, oh, go ahead, Sri.
No, I was just going to say, did you try doing a forced reboot and then try to delete?
I'm sorry, doing a what?
Did you try doing a forced reboot on your phone and then try to delete those multiple pictures?
Have not done that, actually. Are you talking about like a hard or a soft reboot?
Or like a hard reboot.
You mean right after deleting them?
No, like do a hard reset of your phone and then try to delete.
Oh, and then delete them. No, I haven't done that. I mean, I've done a hard reboot fairly recently, but I haven't tried to delete right after. So I might try that and see if that makes a difference. That's a good suggestion. Okay. Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, I do them individually, and they do delete individually.
Okay. Someone else was trying to pipe in besides Jody, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, that's the one thing I haven't tried, is just deleting them photo by photo. I mean, it's the long way around, obviously, but unless I have to delete 40 photos, which I don't ever have that many, maybe that's something I'll just have to do. But I'll try yours and I'll try Shree's suggestions. So thank you for your help. And with that, we have come to the midway point. I'll be back in a few minutes with an iBUG bite. We're going to show you how to use the web reader in Safari and how that can make a difference in reading web pages. But right now, Sandhya, I'm going to turn things over to you.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. Quite a busy first half. Lots of questions, great answers. All right. So now we would like anybody who hasn't had a chance to say hello, say your name and where you're from, please.
This is Brad, and I'm in Dallas.
Hey, Brad. Welcome.
This is Chanel, who was too distracted. Or did I introduce myself the first time? I don't know. Sorry.
Hello, Chanel.
I don't remember.
Always welcome.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Xavier, Atlanta.
Hey, Xavier. Welcome. Who else?
Alice from Alabama.
Hello, Miss Alice. Welcome to you.
Shree from Virginia.
Hey, Shree. Welcome. Anybody else? Didn't get to say hi. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay. All right. Now, time for iBUG Night at the Virtual Movies. And I'm running out of things to say. It's just kind of beyond description. So with that, I will hand it over to the iBUG guy with some perplexing clues, I'm sure. iBUG guy?
Yes. I'm here, ready for another night of some awesome clues to reveal what our movie's going to be for this Friday night. I guess you already told them what time and all that good stuff, right?
Nope, I forgot.
All right, so I'll just quickly, our movie this Friday on this very same Zoom conference line is...
Don't tell the movie.
Oh, no, I'm just giving the logistics of the movie.
Oh, okay.
And starting at 7:30 for our pre-movie social where we do some fun song trivia, we do some jokes and have some other shenanigans. I don't know what
Name that tune. Tune.
Oh yeah, song, name that tune. Okay, and then the movie starts at 8 and it runs for approximately 2 hours and 16 minutes.
What?
And then after that, we will be revealing. Oh, give a hint, one hint for the clue already. Oh, and then afterwards we do trivia and discussion of the movie. So join us Friday. All right. You know, some people have asked us, how do we select our movies? You know, we get that all the time. How do you select movies? Well, one criteria is we make sure we use the various types of awards that movies are given. Of course, most people have heard of the Academy Awards, you know, the Oscars, the Golden Globe Awards. We'll use that sometimes to check out a movie. But recently we've started including the Anatomy Awards and also the Peeper Awards. So be on the lookout for new movies that fall into those categories. All right, now it is time for
Oh my goodness. You want to go over the rules? Forgot to tell them the rules.
Yes, we have rules, just like in our regular program. Our rules are you get one guess per clue, 5 guesses total per the whole thingy. All right, so and don't shout out the title. You got to say your name and wait to be recognized by me, and then you can guess. All right, here we go. Clue number 1. Our film this week is set in Washington, D.C. for the most part.
Andrew,
Andrew,
All the President's Men.
All the President's Men. Oh, that's a great movie, but unfortunately, that's not what we're watching this week. Good try, Andrew.
This is Shree.
Really good.
3.
True Life.
True Lies, another fun movie. And yes, it is in Washington, partially. And yes, you are wrong again, Shree. Good try.
Okay, go.
All right, anybody else before we move on to
It's Chris.
Oh, Chris.
I have no idea if this is probably not in DC. Patton.
Patton is definitely not in DC. Oh, his orders come from DC. All right, let's move on to clue number 2.
Calandra.
All right, Calandra, go ahead.
How about Abraham Lincoln? Is that what the movie
Abraham
is?
Lincoln. Didn't we already see that one?
Yeah, we did.
I think
Probably
we've already
did.
seen that one. Good try, Calandra. All right, clue number 2. This film tells you what it's going to do, does it, and then tells you what it did.
Sounds like our show.
This is Stephen.
Stephen,
Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
Mr. Smith goes to Washington. I have seen that film almost, I can't believe how many times, but
But we haven't.
I've never seen it, and so nobody else is going to see it either.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Next. Anybody else?
Anybody else? The film tells you what it's going to do, does it, and then tells you what it did. Okay, moving on to clue number 3. Oh, this is going to give it away. A lawyer who has an unblemished record of settling out of court is given a case because you got to wait till I finish my clue.
Calandra.
Hang on, people. Hang on.
Till I finish the clue.
Okay, let her finish the clue.
A lawyer
I'll never.
who has an unblemished record of settling cases out of court is given a case because upper management believes he will handle the case without generating public embarrassment. Now, Chris.
Oh. A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. Have we seen that one before? I don't think we've seen that one before. No. And guess what? We are still going. Yes, ding, 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 ding. We're going to watch it this week. Ooh, way to go, Chris. All right.
Well.
And isn't that movie's not in Washington, D.C.? That's in Guantanamo Bay.
That's where part of it happens. The courtroom scenes all are in Washington.
The music gave it away.
Uh-huh.
All right.
There's a pattern. You got to pay attention.
Okay. All right, Johnny, what do we have for our guests this week?
Okay, I thought you'd never ask. Okay, so for Chris, oh my goodness, I don't know where to start. So we'll start with the little thing and then we'll go to, okay, so first we have for Chris a baseball bat to help her think because she definitely needs help thinking. No, not really.
Are you
But
sure you sure you want her to
doesn't
have a
need a
baseball
baseball
bat?
bat. I know. So
If I only had a brain.
no, she definitely doesn't need a baseball bat. Okay, so it will help you think. And if you're wondering why we're giving her a baseball bat, come and watch the movie and find out. It will, of course, be in iBUG colors, and it is super rare because it is autographed by a certain famous or infamous or not very well known, but he was a star third baseman and shortstop, whatever they are.
Well, they're two different people, but anyway.
Well, yeah, he was one person. He played both positions, and that is our very own iBUG guy. And there were very few of them because not many people wanted his autograph. So that's why they're very rare. Okay, so
That's great.
that's why they're rare. Okay, next we also have for you, Chris. Look out, you're going to be in your 1963 Chevrolet Impala. You are going to be the height of style. So there you go. And that will, of course, also be red, black, and white. You will make quite the statement. Okay, so there you go. Watch out with the baseball bat and the car.
And by golly, please watch out on the road if she's going to be driving a car.
Just carry the baseball bat. All right, very good. Thank you, Chris.
R with the bat.
Yes, and the bat.
With a
Thank
bat.
you, Mr. McCulloch. We are saying goodnight to Mr. McCulloch, and we are. Oh my goodness, so patriotic. All right, all right. Okay, here we go. Now we are.
Is that Navy music?
Yes, there we go. All right, with that, we are moving back to our regularly scheduled program. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Stephen for the iBUG Bites segment. Go for it, Stephen.
Well, one of the things that is so interesting about facilitating these calls is I get to follow the movie announcement. No pressure, obviously, but here I am nonetheless with another iBUG Bite. And tonight's bite, well, let's see. Last week, I believe it was, Brad shared about how to do bookmarks in Safari. Well, I don't believe in repeats, but, sometimes we can repeat the same thing without actually doing the same thing. So we're going to stay in Safari. What I'm going to demonstrate tonight is how to use the web reader in Safari, which is used to make web pages read much more smoothly. And so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I have a web page that I'm going to go to, and I'm going to try to read an article without using the reader. And then I'm going to go activate the reader and see if it makes any difference. So let's see, let's go to Safari first of all.
Chronicle.
Let's see.
Safari.
Double tap on
Safari.
that.
USA Today. Visited. Link banner. Landmark.
All right. So as you can tell, I am in USA Today. And of course, it is one of the mega sites. And, with mega sites like USA Today, CNN, and a lot of them, they are chock full of ads and videos and links by the thousands or maybe the millions. So when you're trying to read an article, especially when you're in the middle and it jumps an ad in there or some kind of video or something, it can be very distracting and annoying. So we're going to see if this reader makes any difference when reading an article. So what I'm going to do first of all, though, let's see, I'm going to make sure I'm at the top of the page here.
USA Today. Visited.
Okay,
Link banner. Landmark.
All right, so I'm going to do a 2-finger swipe down, and I'm going to just let it read a little bit. Let's see how long it takes to get to the article that I want to read. It's an article, it's actually about celebrating Juneteenth and different celebrities who kind of had their celebrations of Juneteenth. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to swipe, and I'll start from the top here.
USA Today. Visited. Link banner. Landmark. Search. Link. Menu pop up. Global navigation. Pop up button. Menu pop up. Subscribe. Link. Sign in. Link and banner. Celebrities. Link article. Landmark. Juneteenth 2022. Lizzo. Michelle Obama. Amanda Gorman. More stars mark the holiday. Heading level 1. Amy Hanneline. Link. USA Today. Published 3:06 p.m. ET June 20th, 2022. Play. Bug video. The history of Juneteenth and its future as a federal holiday. Complimentary. Landmark. Sound on. Button. 0. vertical line 1, 3980 vertical line, open share button, AirPlay button, enter full screen button. What is Juneteenth? The holiday's history and significance. Explained. 1 minute 39 seconds. Video playback.
Okay, so as you can see, you know, it has the article there, but there's a lot of other extraneous stuff that I really don't want. So I'm going to go and see if I can make this a lot easier to read and a lot less frustrating. I am going to activate the reader. Now, the way to do this is you will go, Safari has a thing called page settings. There are two ways you can, well, the two ways that I know of anyway. On the tabs at the very bottom, I'm going to start with, let's see here.
Toolbar, back, button, refresh, address, page settings, button.
All right, so I started from the
Actions
left where the
available.
tabs were, and I got to where it says page settings. I'm going to double tap on page settings.
Show top address bar, button.
All right, so it's put me into a context menu. You probably heard the little boop, boop. And I'm going to swipe to the right with one finger, and let's see what we got here.
Privacy report, button.
Okay, that's one of the things you can do.
Website settings, button.
Website settings.
Request desktop website, hide toolbar, button. Show reader, button.
Okay, there it says show reader. Well, right now it's hidden. It gives me the option to show reader. So I'm going to double tap on that.
Juneteenth 2022, Lizzo.
Okay, so now the reader is visible. And let's see, I'm gonna make sure I'm at the top of the page again here.
Juneteenth 2020.
Okay, I am. All right, so I'm gonna do a 2-finger swipe down and have a say all, let it read a little bit more. Let's see if it makes a difference now that I've activated the reader and see if there's any clutter in here.
Juneteenth 2022, Lizzo, Michelle Obama, Amanda Gorman, more stars mark the holiday. Heading level 1, article, landmark. Celebrities use their platforms over the Juneteenth weekend. Link. To celebrate, reflect and educate. June 19th, known as Juneteenth, became a federal holiday only last year. Link. It marks the date the enslaved people of Galveston, Texas, became aware of the freeing of the enslaved and secessionist states by the Emancipation Proclamation. More than 2 years after it was issued by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863. Juneteenth was mainly celebrated in Texas, but has taken on greater national significance following the renewed racial reckonings in the summer of 2020. For the past 3 years, Lizzo, Link, has held a Juneteenth fundraiser to raise money for Black businesses and organizations. Happy Juneteenth.
All right, wow. What a difference that made. I didn't hear any, elapsed 15 seconds or some ad popping in here. Now, I'm not going to read the entire article. So, but at least from the looks of it or the sound of it, it reads a lot more smoothly, certainly at the beginning than when we didn't activate the reader. So that is a very handy tool, especially on some websites that just have a lot of extraneous clutter. For the most part, the reader will work and will make the page a lot smoother. Now, I want to go back to the home page here just a moment if I can. Let's see if I hit the back button. Let's see if it will take me back to the home page because I want to show you something else. Let's see here.
Keep on reading. Subscribe. Sign in. Global navigation.
Okay, so I am
USA Today. Search. Link.
in the USA Today homepage here. I'm going to go back to page settings again.
Page settings. Button. Show top address bar. Show reader. Hide toolbar. Show reader. Dimmed. Button.
Okay, well, you notice where it says show reader and dimmed button. So sometimes the reader is not going to work, especially on a home page like USA Today. You can't activate the reader, even though it was there on that other page. It's not going to show on certain pages. So there may be certain articles or even pages that the reader is not going to work, but on most pages it will. All right, now I'm going to dismiss this pop-up, and I'm going to show you something else real quick that you can do. I'm going to go back.
Forward button.
All right, I'm going to go back to the article here.
Selected. Page set. Happy Juneteenth, y'all. Selected. Page settings. Button. Actions available. Vertical scroll box. Address. USA. Selected. Page settings. Website settings. Square. Not font. Hide reader. Text side. Hide reader. Button.
Okay, so now it's back to hide reader. The reader is back because I clicked back on the article. So
text size. Level 3. Selected. Page settings.
Let me show you here.
Selected. Page. Vertical scroll box. Address. Refresh. Toolbar. Forward. Dimmed. Share. Show bookmarks. Tabs. Button. Tab.
There is a thing, I had it earlier and now I've lost where it is. There is a thing on here that has website settings. If you want to set a particular website to always show you the reader, you can do that. Instead of page settings, you go to website settings and then scroll down until you see view the reader and have it turned on. And that will most likely, every time you go to that web page, that reader will be there automatically. I had it earlier, now I can't seem to find it, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. But Sandhya, that is a demonstration of the web reader in Safari.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. I love that. I mean, it really is a very powerful feature. And let's open it up to see if we have any questions. All right. Who's got questions for Stephen about the reader mode? Reader view, please say your name. Anybody?
Pretty straightforward, I guess.
Yep.
This is Kathy.
Kathy, go ahead.
Kathy.
I have a question. This is my regular question, which kind of relates to this, I think. I was trying to read a web page the other day. I had Googled, or I asked Siri to find me Irish authors, contemporary Irish authors. And she brought me to a page, or maybe an article, by Oprah Winfrey, listing, like, it was before St. Patrick's Day in 21, and she was listing 25 authors in their books. And it seemed like each author, each book was a button. And when I didn't know about, I didn't use the reader. I was just, sliding down with my finger. And every time I got to a button, I would get stuck. I couldn't go past it. And I couldn't scan by buttons. Like, there wasn't, I went to try and read, like you read headings on a page. It said there weren't any buttons, or it didn't have a, so I'm thinking if I tried this, if I just did the reader thing, maybe it would have read me the whole article, and then I could maybe go back and find the buttons, because I was trying to write down the different authors, so sometimes I wanted to go back and spell their names, and it was really a bear.
Yeah, that's possible, Kathy, because a lot of what the reader does is it just takes out all those, buttons and, little video pop-ups and different things that they put. And there's a lot of ads on some articles I've read where they're just ads galore that pop up, where it may be the same ad. It seems to go through, but when you activate the reader, it eliminates all that. So yeah, that's possible. You may want to read an article in its entirety, and then you can go back to the main site of that article with the reader hidden and look for those buttons or pop-ups in case you do want to use those. So that is possible.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
This is Calandra.
Go ahead, Calandra.
What I was going to ask is, those things are pretty cool. And I was thinking, what do they, really look like? And where can you get them?
Now, what are we referring to exactly?
The, what do you do? Just call them web readers?
Yeah, it's actually inside the browser called Safari that you use to navigate web pages on your iOS device. It's built into that. It's built into that browser. So that's how you would use it. If you're using Safari, then that is built into the browser, and it's called the reader.
Well, what about the browser? Where would you find that sort of thing at?
Well, the browser, Safari, it comes with, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, that is one of the icons that's on your device. It's already there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
This is Greg.
Go ahead, Greg.
I missed part of your earlier answer, but if you're using Reader View, can you use your rotor to go to words and navigate by word or character?
That's a good question. You should be able to do that. I have not tried that. I haven't tried it with the rotor, but I believe you can. Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, you can. It's pretty much the same. It just gets rid of, all the stuff it gets
Yeah.
rid of, but you can navigate words, links, the usual stuff.
Yeah, it basically it shouldn't affect anything as far as your headings, and reading by lines in Word. It just takes out the clutter.
Thank you.
All right, you bet. Any other questions before we move back into the regular question answer session? Well, Sandhya, I think that is a wrap.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Definitely check it out. And like Stephen was saying, you can set certain pages or you can set all pages to open under reader view. So there's lots of really cool settings that you can really have a lot of control when you're using Safari. Okay, with that, we will move on. We want people to, who haven't had a chance to ask questions, also to help answer questions. We want everybody to participate, not just one or two people. So, who would like to go next? Somebody new hasn't had a turn? Or
This is Helene.
Helene, welcome. Go ahead.
This question is about Safari is one place where you can use, but Chrome is what I hear is another one. And I'm not familiar with anything other than Safari, but would Chrome work the same way for what Stephen you just spoke about?
What a great question. Stephen, you want to take that or anybody else?
This is Stephen.
Yes.
I believe they do. I mean, I actually use Chrome. They do have, I'll have to look in again and see where that is. I mean, they do have something like that, that's similar. Let me do some checking on that and see if I can find where exactly it is.
This is Kathy.
Kathy.
A few years ago when I was taking a course, it hasn't done me much good, obviously, but they said that Chrome was better than Safari, and that if you go to Chrome, you could then go to Google, and it would be more reminiscent of the way Windows screens works. But nowadays, when I go to Safari, and I had Chrome on for a while, but I really couldn't ever tell any difference. And now when I go to Safari, like if you ask Siri to look up something, it always says at the bottom, you can go to Google. So I can go to Google right from Safari, and I don't, you're still swiping through the screen to find what it's got listed. So it doesn't really, I'm wondering if things have changed and maybe Chrome is not as unique or special as it used to be, or, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Anybody shed any light on the distinction between Google and Safari and why you should use one or the other? Anybody Chrome users out there?
This is Stephen.
Stephen.
Yeah, I like to use Google Chrome over Safari because I feel like it loads a little bit faster. And up until today, I hadn't really played with Safari a whole lot, recently. It used to be my default browser, but Google Chrome, I just think it's a little bit of an easier, well, more user-friendly, I guess is what I'm saying. It seems to load a little bit faster. Some people may like this because it kind of lets you know what you're doing, but Safari, I know it makes that tick, tick, tick sound when it's loading a web page. I get kind of annoyed by it because after a while, if it just keeps going and going and the page is still loading, it kind of gets annoying. But Google Chrome it just feel more seamless. Go ahead.
That could be reason enough to stay on Chrome. I didn't realize. Yeah, I hate that ticking thing.
But that's my observation of it.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, great question, Kathy. Very good. Helene, we hope that helped. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is Dan.
Good. Go ahead, Dan.
I have a question for Stephen. Are you running Chrome on an iPhone?
This is Stephen. Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. I run it on my iPhone as well as my computer. Yes, it does work for the iPhone.
Okay, so on the iPhone, the main thing that you like about Chrome is it loads faster, and does it make the web pages a little bit more easier to read than Safari, or have you noticed that or not?
To some extent, but of course, like I said, with all these mega sites like USA Today, CNN, and all that, they're going to have those pop-ups and ads really in any browser. But that is one of the advantages that the Reader View in Safari has, and Chrome does have something similar. And like I said, I haven't played with it in a while, so I'm going to do some research here and see if I can figure out how to get into that again, and maybe make a comparison. But yeah, I just think it's a little bit faster to use, at least for me, as well as just easier to find things. And you can, you have the menu on the right-hand part of the screen, which contains things like bookmarks and sharing and things like that. So it's just a personal preference for me.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, good question, Dan. Good job. Thank you. Okay, who's next?
This is Marie.
Marie, go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm going to go back just a little bit. I think when she said she could find Google even when she was on Safari, I think some people get a little confused. The Google search engine can be used on any browser. And if you're in Safari and you go to google.com, you'll get the same Google search as you get if you're using Google Chrome.
Okay, so yes, you can run Google no matter what. You can access the Google anywhere, right? Basically.
This is Pete.
Yes, sir.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And furthermore, I think if you go into your text field, your search field on Safari, and you just do a two-finger dictate a question, you can type in a question like, how many geese are there in Canada?
Okay.
The Google's search engine will automatically kick in. I think that's the default search engine for Safari. So it does it in the background, I think. So because I do that all the time. I want to know, the answer to a question, or it's almost like invoking Siri. I just go into the text field at the top or the bottom, wherever you want it now, and I dictate a question, and then I navigate my rotor to headings and flick down, and the results are results of the Google search engine automatically.
All right, perfect, Pete. And giving you a hard time, but how many geese are there in Canada?
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell.
Okay. All right.
Giving
Good
you
to have innate curiosity. So very good. Okay, who's next? Let's see. Yes, so that's our discussion of Google Chrome. Very good. And I guess, Pete, you can also set Google as a default search engine, right? I mean, or anybody could buy it.
Yeah, although I don't know that you need to. This is Pete. I don't know that you need to really set it.
Okay.
I think it's already there as the default. If you want a different search engine, and I don't know of any other by name, other browser, you can set your default browser in settings under Safari. I think you can set a different default browser.
Okay.
So you could probably set a different search engine too.
Okay, Chris.
Have I set?
Okay, hang on down. Chris?
I have my default search engine set to DuckDuckGo.
Oh, okay. Any reason for that? And what is DuckDuckGo is another search engine, right?
Right. It's something instead of Google or instead of Bing. It's just supposed to have better privacy to it.
Okay. Very good. It's always good to know why people do things, because we may not even be aware of issues out there. So thank you, Chris, for sharing that. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, for Chris, now I changed it over to DuckDuckGo and tried to do that, and then it still showed Safari on the phone. So I'm wondering, when you switch to DuckDuckGo, it should show DuckDuckGo on the bottom instead of Safari. Is that the case for you, Chris?
This is Chris.
Yes.
It's just internally to Safari, Dan. It's just a default browser. So like what Pete was saying, if you just key in a sentence in the address bar, a search question, the engine that we'll use to find that information, the default search engine will be DuckDuckGo. So it's still in Safari, it's just within Safari. Instead of using Google as a default search engine, it uses DuckDuckGo. And you'll see that at the bottom of the search, it'll say DuckDuckGo within the Safari web browsing window.
Okay, so there's a search engine and then there's a browser. So there's two things, right?
Right.
Okay, just to be clear in my own head. Okay, thank you, Chris.
This is Sri.
Sri.
Yeah, so for me, I have a DuckDuckGo app. So if I want to browse using DuckDuckGo, I'll go through that instead of Google or Safari. And I could be wrong, but maybe Chris can confirm this. I think one of the things that DuckDuckGo doesn't do is it doesn't keep a log of your information also.
Okay. Chris, you know for, yep.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sri. All right. I mean, the counter to that would be, I guess, that when you do, I mean, I find it helpful. It shows, yeah. I mean, it shows my prior searches, and sometimes I look for the same thing over and over because I don't know. And so it's there and it's easy to do again. I don't know. That's just another possibility.
This is Sri.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the advantages is really where you're going. Let's say, for example, you're doing a lot of banking stuff.
Yeah.
You want to go to a place where it's not keeping a lot of logs of your banking information. So that's where like DuckDuckGo comes really handy, so that you're not compromising your personal information.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Did I hear somebody else?
Michael?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, regarding, well, pretty much any of the browsers, but especially Google, you know, it depends on the individual and, you know, your own search history that you've built up and all the different parameters Google has collected about you. You know, any two of us, Chris and I, could enter the very same search term and we may get different results.
Right.
And so you've got to be careful of that too sometimes.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Huh. So just because it says your website is ranking at the top of a certain, on your website or on your search, it may not be on another person's search, right? Something like
Just
that.
Chris.
Yeah.
Yes, depending upon what type of information they have about you that they've collected, for instance, with the Google search engine, depending upon perhaps your zip code or prior purchases or the websites you've been to, we might, like Michael and I might look up the same piece of equipment, let's say maybe a phonograph record player or something, and he might and he might get one price and I would get a completely different price for the same product.
Oh, wow. That's not good.
This is Pete.
Pete.
Well, so Michael, how do you be careful of that?
Mr. McCulloch, are
I
you
think that's where DuckDuckGo would probably come in and help out. Yeah, I think it's Google, and I'm not sure. There's a few others that collect personal data on you.
This is Sri.
Okay, Sri, and then we're moving on. Go ahead.
Two things. Usually, if you're going to use Google, you can always go to the Google privacy mode instead. That way, once you leave Google, it's basically doesn't capture any more information. And then one thing I do also want to mention, between Google and Safari, in the back end of both of those browsers, they're using the same tool. So in theory, what you search for in one should be the same because it's the same tool.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sri. And we're moving on to the next discussion. I don't know what that is. Does anybody know what the next topic is going to be? Would you like to ask a question?
Michael?
Please? Yes, sir.
Yeah, if anybody uses HomePods, I was wanting to know, how do I change my Siri voice on a HomePod?
Okay. Anybody? Well, however you did it the first time, right?
I don't
Sorry.
remember.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay. Anybody? Sorry not to be sassy our poor callers here. Okay. Who knows how to change their Siri voice on the HomePod? Is it on the device? Is it on the phone? How do you do it? Anybody?
This is Sri.
Tree.
Isn't it in the home app where you go to the home app and then find the home pod and then go to the settings of the home pod?
Okay.
Sounds like a good place to start looking. Yes, thanks.
All right. This is Sandhya, aren't there buttons on the top? I mean, don't those? I never use them. I don't know what they do because I don't know. I think.
This is Sri.
Yeah, Shri.
Yeah, it has the play and pause button on the top.
Oh,
It's
that's
just a
it?
little touch screen. Yeah, it's not
Not helpful.
helpful for a blind person.
All right. Okay, then. Good luck, Mr. McCulloch. Okay, who's next? New question.
This is Jody.
Jody.
There's 5 billion geese in Canada.
Oh, God. Thank you. Thank you, Jody. The secret is out. Okay, very good. Very good. Who's next? New question.
This is Pete.
Pete.
Jody, why did you tell him?
Oh my God. Okay. All right. If nobody has a question, I have a question, but I want to ask anybody else. New question?
Chris.
This is Dan.
Go ahead, Chris, and then Dan. Hang on, Dan. Chris, go.
Recently, somebody sent me an attachment as a TXT file, a text file, and I wanted to take that file out and do some modifications to it. And this was on my iPhone. Now, I don't have any Microsoft, Word or anything like that on my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to take it to take that attachment and to be able to do a read write to it, basically to modify it, what's the easiest way to do that and how to do that? Because when I tried importing it into, say, a notes file or the Files app, it still brought it into it as an attachment, not the actual text, but an attachment. So I was still bringing up that sort of read-only sheet, has share and the little things on it, and you can only read only. So, how can I get it to an actual text format? So what I ended up doing, I had to import it into VoiceStream Reader, and then I could go through that, and there's a way in there to go through and select all the text, and then I took that and put that into a notes file, and that's how I ended up doing it. But does anybody have a quicker, better method?
All right, and the original file was a TXT file or Word file,
Right.
or what? Okay.
I need to ask the person who sent it to me. It was a TXT.
TXT. Okay.
file type.
All right. And you don't have any other?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. How can Chris edit her TXT file? Anybody? Thoughts? Suggestions?
This is Sri.
Tree.
So one of the things on that attachment, did you flick up or down? There should be one of them is to preview that file. Since TXT is not a standard app on your iPhone, did you try looking at the preview and then trying to share the preview or copy the preview?
Yes, but anytime you do that, it just puts it as an attachment to wherever you share it to.
So on the preview mode, were you able to?
I didn't do this is Chris. I didn't do the preview mode, but if you're calling preview, if you double tap on it, it brings up that, just an info sheet basically. So you can see it and you can share it, but you can't modify it.
Yeah, it's read only. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Good question. Did you try? You can't save it anywhere. Could you save it to the Files app, maybe?
I did, but it saves it as, this is Chris.
It saves it as an attachment.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
In a vicious circle here. Okay, anybody get her out of the vicious circle? Go get
VoiceStream Reader did it, but I just thought
Okay,
maybe there's an easier way to do it.
This is Sri.
Sri.
I can take a look at it and maybe come back next week.
Okay. Come back next week. Thank you,
This is
Sri.
Brad.
Brad.
There are some plain text editors you can get for an iPhone. I'm sorry, but none of them come to off the top of my head right now. I know I've got one on my iPhone. I haven't used it. I'll look at it here in a minute and come back and tell you what it's called.
Wow.
This is Herbie.
Thank you. Real time. Go ahead, Herbie.
If you're running a plain text editor for the iPhone, Dropbox actually has one built in.
Okay. Thank you. What do you have? Dropbox. That's a free. You could get 2 gigs of space, right? Okay.
This is
All right.
Greg.
Greg.
Is Drafts a plain text editor?
Drafts. I've heard it's a good app. Anybody use Drafts?
This is Herbie.
Herbie.
Yes, it's a little weird though how you save stuff, but it is a plain text. Well, actually, I take that back. It's easy enough to write in, but I don't know if, like, say, you could open a text file in it and edit it. That I don't know if you could do that.
That's what she's trying to do. Okay, so, all right.
It's Kathy.
This is Brad.
Okay, Kathy and then Brad.
Could you put it up in notes?
An attachment.
That's what she was trying to, yeah. Okay,
Huh.
Brad.
The one I have is called Easy Edit Text. I haven't used it much. I can't remember if I paid for it. If I did, it wasn't very much, but obviously it's in the iOS App Store.
Okay. All right, Chris.
This is Chris.
Uh-huh.
So, Brad, you can just import a TXT file into it and modify it.
This is Brad.
Yep.
When I open it, it's showing me my iCloud drive. So I would imagine if you import it, save it to a folder, and then open the Easy Edit Text app and go to that folder and open it. That would probably do it for you. Again, I haven't used it much. I can't remember why I got it. I think I was looking for one, and then I haven't really done much with it, but give it a try. See what it does.
Is it only, sorry, this is Chris. Is it only iCloud based?
Say it again.
Is it only iCloud based?
No,
Do you
no,
have to use
no.
iCloud?
It's on my phone. When I open it, it's prompting me to open a file. So it's like an open file mode. And I guess by default, it's looking at my iCloud drive. I can mess with it a little bit more here. It may look at other, like I've got Dropbox on my phone. I've got OneDrive. I wouldn't be surprised if all those others are I'm able to browse probably anything like that that I've got on my phone, but I'd have to play with it a little bit more and see.
All right.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
Good job. Good question. Okay, next. New question. Moving on. Anybody? New thoughts? New question?
This is Dan.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. Forgot you, Dan. We still love you, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
That's nice. Can somebody give me just a basic definition of the HomePod? My understanding is apparently it's an equivalent to the Amazon smart speaker. The Apple is just trying to compete with them. I think I'm not really sure. So just look basics on that.
Yes, somebody with a very basic definition of a HomePod. Anybody of our HomePod users? HomePodders? Potters?
This is Herbie.
Herbie, go.
An Alexa wannabe.
Okay.
You asked for short.
Yeah, that was really short. It's probably the shortest thing you've ever said.
I know.
This is Shree.
Go ahead, Tree.
Not very smart.
Not very smart.
Herbie or the iPod?
This is Chanel.
That's a good question. I hope he means the
really
HomePod.
nice sounding, like a really big, bassy sounding Alexa wannabe.
Yes, there you go. That's what I would agree with that. That's the best part of it. The sound is great, but its features supporting all the other apps and stuff, it doesn't really support a lot of apps. So
This is Pete.
Okay, Pete, go.
Discontinued by Apple.
What?
It has been discontinued.
Oh, right. Well, we have the minis, right? No, we still have the iPod,
Yes.
HomePod minis. Yeah.
And this is Herbie.
Short answer though.
Okay, yes. Short answer. I like this short. This is going to be a new thing. Okay, go ahead, Herbie, and we're moving on.
One big advantage, though, I have to mention with the competition, Alexa has built-in stereo sound. HomePod Mini does not. You have to get 2 speakers if you want stereo. So.
Okay. All right. And I think their HomePod Minis are $99, right? So you could.
Yep, $99 a pop.
Create a stereo.
This is
Go ahead,
Dan.
Dan.
What you said? Alexa has built-in stereo sound. Where I have the Echo Plus and the Mini. I've never seen any stereo sound out of Alexa. Where did you find that?
I can't. This is Herbie. I can't comment on every single unit because I don't have them all, but on the main Alexa device, the like for instance the Generation 4, it really works well. If you are sitting in front of the speaker and you're listening to music, you can tell there is, the stereo separation between the left and the right, but you do have to be in front of the speaker.
All right, we are gonna save that Alexa discussion for Android Insight coming up next month, Dan. But great question, good teaser there. All right. Who's next? New question. Anybody else? Okay, any questions? Okay, anybody?
Jody with a comment for Kathy.
Okay, go.
Patrick Taylor, Irish Country Doctor series on Bard.
Okay, all right. Now, all right, so I have a question about Facebook, my favorite new friend. All right, so the other day, one of our friends, I think he's on our call, it was his birthday. It was David's birthday. Happy birthday, David. So I was trying to write happy birthday, David. Have a great day, right? I was trying to do my profound little birthday wish, and I could not find the right on his timeline button. It kept saying, do you want to give David a present? Do you want to give him a $7 gift or a $15 gift or whatever? I mean, so anybody encounter that, or what am I doing wrong? I mean, I like David, but I just
This
want
is
to wish
Herbie.
you happy birthday. Go ahead, Herbie.
Somebody else was posting about this morning, actually. They were very upset because they wanted to wish somebody happy birthday and Facebook would not let them do it. So it's not just you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and it happened to you too. I mean, it's like, do you want to give Herbie a gift? And I'm like, no.
Well, I like this $50 thing that you were mentioning.
Yeah. I
it's
mean, it
not
just
too
had all
late,
these denominations, different prices, but I could not find the post. All right, thank you. Good to know. Go, Pete.
This is Pete. I found that too, where their name pops up in your notifications as so-and-so is having a birthday, but it doesn't give you the text field. Is that what you're talking about?
Right, to write on their timeline to say happy birthday.
I've encountered that more frequently than this other situation. But the other situation is I knew it was somebody's birthday, but their name didn't even come up on my notifications as having a birthday.
Okay.
So if they don't do that, how do you post on someone's timeline?
Well, I mean, it came up in my notification, David's having a birthday. So that's how I knew. But I mean, some people don't put their birthdays, then you're not going to know, so obviously.
Can you post on someone's timeline anyway and wish them a happy birthday?
Sure. If you know their birthday, but maybe they don't want other people to know their birthday, right? I don't know.
This is Pete. I guess my question, then I have a new question.
Okay.
How does one post on somebody's timeline in Facebook?
How does one post on some's timeline? Anybody want to answer that one? Writing on someone's timeline, even though they. Okay, go. Do you use it using Facebook on a? Let's talk about using Facebook on an iPhone.
Right.
Okay.
This is Herbie.
Okay, go, Herbie.
Normally, like for birthday notifications, I'm able to just double tap where it says it's blah blah blah's birthday, and then I swipe to the right, and there's a thing that says right on their timeline.
Right.
And you can double tap in the edit field and write on it. I was just looking right now on mine, and I still have that. The other way is just to find them, their profile, in your friends list or whatever, and there's usually an option to write on their timeline that way if you.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. Very
Thank you.
good. Thank you. All right. Very good. Next question. Who has a new question?
This is Calandra.
Okay, go ahead.
What I was gonna say was, I was wondering about that too because my mom posted on Facebook about my 48th birthday, which was sometime in January. It was the 26th of January. She posted it to most of my cousins and other parts of the family and some of the people that are around the world. And also about most of my life, you know, what I accomplished. And I was wondering, you know, I didn't even think there was a timeline to it. I mean, how would you work it?
Okay, that's kind of a broad question. Who would want to? So basically, your mom is writing about you, and so it's gonna all of those posts that she writes are her posts that she's writing about you. So that's the simplest way that I would explain that. So she has all the she has all the posts because she posted them. All right.
Okay, I guess that's one way of putting it. I was always interested in doing Facebook, and I was wondering who you could choose to send it to. I mean, it would have to be a timeline.
Yep. You can. There's lots of good stuff. We did a very detailed presentation on Facebook like about a week ago. So check out the iBUG Cafe. Okay. All right. Next.
This is Nikki.
Nikki, go.
I just have a comment. I had the same problem on Facebook.
Okay, hang on. Can you get a little
I
closer?
do get
Can you get a little closer so we can hear you better, please? Sorry.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Let me see if I can switch this. Okay. Is this better?
Oh, much better. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I had my earphones on. I get notified not only on my phone, but on Facebook if I am their friend or if I have them in my contact list with their birthday listed. But I've had difficulty with friends and non-friends posting on their timeline because they're two different things. There's a timeline and then there's this other thing, and they're different. And I've been using Facebook for 14 years and I have no idea how to get from one to the other. So it really is complicated. And I don't know why they make it that complicated. So anyway, but I'm loving this conversation because I'm learning a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. All right, new topic. Who's ready for a new question? Ready. We're ready. Who's got a question?
This is Sri.
Sri.
It's not a new topic. I was just wondering, can I just respond to what Chris brought up? I was just testing it on my phone about her text file.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I did, Chris, is I moved that attachment to my Files app, and then I flicked up or down and I hit copy, and then I was able to open the Notes app and paste it.
All right. Yay. Good job, Sri. Okay. In that same vein, I will have my one more quick question. We've talked about this before. I got a PDF. It's an application for something, and they're like, okay, fill this out. And I have several different OCR apps, and they all just kind of left something to be desired. So I know a lot of people use Voice Stream Reader. So what? Import it in there, and then it'll read it for me, and then I can save it. Is that how it works? I know there are a lot of heavy Voice Dream users on here. Anybody?
This is Steven.
Steven.
Yeah, I use that. I do that quite a bit with articles on web pages or things like that. If it's a PDF, that's the one I usually use to convert it. It does really well.
Okay, because I mean, I went through SuperSense. I went through Envision It. I mean, I tried different ones, and I was getting pieces of this and pieces of that. Go, Herbie.
Well, hi, I guess I'm Sri. Oh dear.
Yeah, okay.
First of all, I think you're gonna need Voice Stream Scanner. Voice Stream Reader is good for reading, but what you're wanting is to be able to save it. And that could present a new problem because I don't know if they'd be happy that the application would be filled out as after converted to a text form, because there would be a very interesting issue over it's not the original application. And
well, it's not like a big college application or something. It's just like a pretty mundane kind of thing. But okay, so I could use tech. I mean, I have that. I don't know if I tried that too. I can't remember.
But yeah, Voice Stream Scanner, because that one does have an export option, and so that's the one you would want for the PDF, and hopefully it would read it well. It's going to depend on a lot of factors, of course, with the PDF, but that's the one I would try for that.
This is Steven.
All right, Steven, go.
Yeah, so it was a document you were needing to scan. I thought it was one that was already electronically in there, but
Yeah,
Voice Dream
no, it's a
Scanner is the one I use for that
straight
too.
up PDF. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Stephen. With that, we are at the conclusion of our program for today. Thank you, Stephen, for helping me to facilitate.
Absolutely.
And now a quick recap of what's coming up this week. Tomorrow, Clubhouse 5 to 6, talking about Mac Buzz, all things related to the Mac. Thursday it's iBugs Live, talking about weather-related preparedness. So let's get ready for who knows what kind of weather we're going to be getting. That's why we're having the presentation. Friday, we're watching, oh my God, A Few Good Men at 8 p.m. Poetic. So that'll be audio described. Starts at 8 p.m. Social time at 7:30. Then our Apple workshop, remember, on Saturday from 2 to 4. 2 to 4. On our Zoom conference line. So with that, we will say goodnight. Thank you so much for all the great participation. I love hearing all the voices and questions and answers. That's what this is all about, and we appreciate your time and participation, and we hope you have a great week. Happy Juneteenth, and we will be back next week. Good night.